Hi, I'm Aileen Mogis. I'm a coach, facilitator, and public speaker.
And I'm Daphne Kasambala, former banker, entrepreneur, and mentor.
We're longtime friends and African women in the diaspora, talking to women like us about the things that matter to us.
And this is Soulfully Podcast.
Hello, Mrs. Kasambala. How goes it?
Hey, Aileen, I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I've been back now in the UK for a few weeks after having the great opportunity of coming out and seeing you, which is very nice. I miss you.
Yeah.
I'm missing you in the flesh. It's nice to see your face.
You know what scientists say about the screen, telephone screens and images of people we see on social media. It says that the brain is very easy to trick. And this is the reason why when we see influencers and people we see often on social media, our brains think we actually know them. And it's why I think, especially for the developing mind, it's a little bit dangerous because these people think they've got 400 friends when that's not really the case.
Right.
But for me, it was so surreal. It was surreal for you to come and see me because we haven't seen each other. We crossed paths during the pandemic. We crossed paths. I was living where you are living now. You were living where I was living.
Yeah.
We found out we were moving. We thought we'd find you, and then you moved. So it had been quite a few years since we'd actually physically seen each other.
It's ridiculous. It's been 5 years since we were physically in the same place. I think it is exactly that, because we probably see each other on video once a week at least, or at least chat once a week. So you do have this false sense that you've seen each other.
You have, which makes it nicer. It's a lot.
It does.
I prefer this to the days before.
When we used to have to write letters. Put them in the post, dude.
We're showing our age, but
we did.
Do you
we wrote
remember
letters.
Those foldable? Yes.
Yeah, those airmail ones. Those foldable.
The airmail 3-fold letters. I've got them still in my trinkets box. Because when I first left home, to go and live out there, that's how I was communicating with my family.
Yes, yeah. I mean, this is the thing. I mean, when we look back at that, the fact that you have them is amazing. I don't think I have any letters, because I remember I used to write a letter every day. I used to write a letter every day. I was at boarding school. I had time on my hands.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah. And I used to write a letter every single day.
And then what happened after? You know what happened after letters? It was emails.
Emails.
It was Hotmail. And
I remember
Hotmail. I remember we set up a group email and we would do the Monday report. Because we just got into this whole rhythm of, how was your Monday? So everybody would have to submit the Monday report. On Friday,
brilliant.
I then went home and this is what I cooked for dinner. And then on Saturday, this is everybody. Now, a family of 6 kids and some in-laws were in there as well. You can imagine. It just made, it just was heartwarming.
Yeah.
It was really heartwarming. And then after the emails came...
Well, we came Viber.
Messenger
Oh, yeah. No, I never had the BlackBerry. I never had a BlackBerry. And I remember I used to sit on the tube and watch people with BlackBerries and think, that's so cool. I remember Viber because Viber, I think, started just before I left the UK and I'd gotten married. And so at this point, phone calls still weren't free. Because remember, you used to have to buy phone cards. We didn't have internet calling. We didn't have iMessenger. We didn't have all of these things that now, I mean, we can talk to each other for 2 hours a day if we so fancy. I can speak to you. I can speak to my sisters. I can speak to your sisters. I can speak to everybody in one day if I so choose for free. It's crazy, right? Yeah. Besides my data plan. But in those days... But you just think, I mean, what that makes me think is how the amount of attention relationship deserves, right? So we look at this. I mean, we've had this thing where I've come out I've had it's been wonderful. I've gotten to come to South Africa after nearly 3 4 years. I can't remember. Yeah, yeah, 3 years. I've
Mm-hmm.
got to come to South Africa. I've got to come and see some wonderful friends of mine and come and visit you, see where you are. But the beauty is those relationships have been maintained
Yeah.
even at distance, right? But it has made me think about what it takes to have solid friendship.
Mm.
What
When I think about some of the friends that I have, so I've got friends like you who, if I haven't heard from in a while, something like a little alarm bell goes in the back of my mind, like,
mm,
oh, you haven't spoken to her for ages. And then I've got the friends who we can go months without
yeah,
any
yeah,
WhatsApps, any contact whatsoever.
yeah,
And yet, if you were to ask me who are your friends, they'd make that list.
yeah, 100%.
So there's something about friendship which is the perception. Maybe one of the elements is like friendship is in the eye of the beholder kind of concept where I know that this person is my friend, whether there's contact or not. I just get a sense of well-being. I get confidence. I have a sense of trust that this person is my friend.
Yeah,
I am
and
their
I
friend
think
and they are my friend.
it's a body thing. Huh? It's
Yes.
but
Exactly.
but here's the thing, right? It's like I think that friendship is quite dynamic. I mean, it was funny for me to come and see you and just think about how, because I always joke that your friendship is I threw myself into your family, and by your family I don't mean your married family. I mean
Mm-hmm.
your family of origin,
Yeah.
because of my friendship with your younger sister, because we were
Mm-hmm.
so close, and we've been friends since I was 11, 12.
Mm.
We've been friends that long, and then I attached myself to your family. So
I love
I
the way
literally,
I love the way you say that. Like you camped out on our front
I,
porch and said,
it
"I'm
was
not
very
leaving."
close. It was very close. I think for a while, I think I came to every possible family event, and there I was. It's like this is, and there's Eileen. I'm here. Until the point
And
I
then
think,
we're all like, "Oh, okay, you're here. Okay, all right,
okay,
okay."
she's here, and then I wouldn't go until it got to the point where it was like, where is she? When I wasn't there, it's like, where is she? So it's like, yeah, yeah. You see, I've attached myself to the family.
Yeah.
But what does it take? What does it take? What do you think? What makes a
I
friendship?
well, I think that you're asking a person who I think if I were to evaluate myself as sorry for my finger there, if I were to evaluate myself as a friend, um, in some measures I'd score myself 10 out of 10, and in others needs improvement because
But
I
isn't that
am
just like isn't that
that's
just
everybody,
humanity?
but
Come
there's
on
some
now.
basic things. So like if I look at my ability to to stay in constant contact, that's not one of my strengths. I
Yeah,
can
but
just you know
yeah.
and then there is the if the person who will come out there and be with you in the storm kind of thing. I think I score highly
Mm.
on that. But it's
But
isn't it
also, I
also a
think it's
language of
very
love
hard.
though? Is
I
it a
think, yeah, I
language of
think there is that. But I think it's also really hard to, when you have a life that is um, lived multinationally. You've got family that live all around the world, so you're dealing with time zones. You've got friends who live around the world, and you're dealing with your own life. It's very hard to stay in constant contact. It's impossible, right? And I think one of the things that makes a great friendship is the acceptance
mm,
of the fact that I can be in contact with you so much. You know what I mean?
mm,
And me not being in contact with you, it isn't a reflection of my value for you. In
mm,
fact, in some ways, it's that acceptance that I can't know everything that's going on in your life. I can't be in contact with you. I can't talk to you all the time. I mean, sometimes, yeah. I mean, and I think you and I go through phases where we do talk a lot, and then phases where we don't talk as much, or whatever. And then there are other friends, like you say, you're not going to be in contact with. But I think that for me, there is something around the the people who are my friends on different levels. I have those people who've been my friends forever, and those people who've been my friends for shorter. People, friends I made in my 20s or 30s even. Um, and acquaintances I think you make later on, and that kind of thing. I think the sign for me of real friendship is people who know the intentions of my heart towards them.
Okay.
So for instance, if because we can if I don't speak to you for so long, it's not because
Mm.
I don't care or love you. You know me well enough to know this person cares about me and loves me. You know me well enough to know what is motivating me in certain areas, and vice versa. So if
I love
someone
that.
comes, and I
I
think this
love
is
that,
this
and I
is
think, yeah, this is what I was trying to get at. But you're much better with words than you put it in much better words than I did. Where I was saying, I trust that you're my friend. Yeah, but what do you trust in practice?
mm,
What does that mean? And I think that, yeah, I think we're in agreement there. It's about, even when it's about you hurting me and me then saying that was unintentional, that was
mhm,
not on
mhm.
purpose.
So now
That
you come
you
to a
should
very
never
good
do that
thing.
to me.
Okay,
Mm.
so this is a really really good thing, because I've been thinking about this recently. I've been thinking about how do you, because I do believe that there are some relationships in life that do come to an end, right? Not everybody has to be
Mm-hmm.
your friend forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody has to be your friend forever. Now, sometimes I think there are some people who you're just like, dude, this is an unhealthy relationship. This is toxic. Time to go. Although my theory on that is, if you keep finding yourself in toxic relationships, what is the common denominator?
Mm-hmm.
You. Right? So now you have to look and say, what is my issue? I need some therapy, right? I need some help. If
Okay,
there's
okay.
yeah, because if the same thing keeps happening to you with people, common
Yeah.
denominator, you, right?
Mm.
Now,
You.
I think we've all probably gone through a phase where we've had some very questionable relationships.
Yeah.
At least I have, hands up, both romantic and friendship. I've had some challenge, some interesting relationship, especially as you're figuring yourself out, all of this stuff. And so I
Absolutely.
kind of think there are seasonal friendships like that, where it's like, okay, for my sanity, I need to walk away. So what? Also, I'm curious. At what point do you think this friendship might not be
Mm.
this? I might need to draw a line under this. What
Oh
what
man.
what kind of things?
So I have to start. Let me rewind it. Let me take it all the way back to the start. I by the time I was going to university, I had lived in, I don't know. When I asked my mom, she loses count how many houses we lived in.
Mm.
I had been to, I think I went to four different primary schools, four different curricula, like
Oh God.
Malawian education curriculum, American system, British system. In all of these schools, I made friends, and then when I moved away, I lost friends. So
Yeah.
I would say that by the time I went to university, I had cycled through maybe three, four cycles of friends,
But
and
that's really that.
it makes
Then
me
doesn't
sad.
does that make you feel a bit like um there's no point in making friendship? Does that sort of, because
No,
you lose
it's
it?
it's
No.
not my
Okay.
conscious thought, but it's definitely sometimes in the way I behave about, in the way I used to behave about friendships. In that, I think they were for me more disposable. Friendships were
Right.
more disposable in the way I behaved. I don't think I had the skills to nurture and keep friendships. So the friendships that prevailed were more to do with the efforts on the other person's part than on my part. And then in
Okay.
my 20s or so, I made I made friends, but it was almost like an about turn where I thought I must keep friends, I must make friends, I need to make friends. I think
Yeah.
because I was a black woman, a foreigner in a country where I knew nobody, and I
Yeah.
just wanted to make friends, physical friends. And again, at that point, I didn't have the social interaction that the internet allows us to have now with my siblings. And
And also you had a young family,
yeah,
which I think sometimes you've got a young family and you're alone. You can busy yourself so much with your family that you can become so exceptionally lonely. So to actually actually acknowledge that I need friends, I
Mm,
think is really important, because I think it's so easy to, when you're in a different culture and your family takes up time and your job and all of that, to be
yeah.
like, well, I'm okay, I'm busy, I'm busy, I'm busy.
Yeah. So I'm in my 20s. I'm a young mom. I'm in a foreign country. I've got no social circle. We've placed ourselves in the middle of, you know, no, other people who look at like us are not nowhere near. So I'm
You're the
desperate.
only blacks in the village.
Exactly. We're the only blacks in the village. I'm the only black at work. I'm failing to make
Yeah,
any meaningful friendships at work because I'm
yeah,
just so different. And because I'm a working mum, I'm not a school gate mum, one
yeah,
of the
yeah,
ones
yeah,
who
yeah,
sort of let's meet for coffee after we've dropped our kids off.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So there was a really lonely there was a lonely period. And then eventually, slowly I started gaining friends. And
Mm,
I think around that time you moved to the UK. But I think that in my whole thing about my quest to collect as many friends as possible, it the quality wasn't always there.
mm.
So there were those friendships. I feel like I learned later in life about how not everybody should be your friend, and it's okay to walk away from some friendships. So I've been ruthless now and quite quite
The
intentional
chopping board.
about. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Just and I
Mm.
feel because I guard my mental health so fiercely these days. If I just get that sense of you are draining my energy and my life force, and when I have a conversation with you, it's not uplifting, or this is a one-way street, I try and exit. I try and exit those situations.
Okay, so now I'm assuming that there are going to be times, even in the healthiest friendship, where it's going to be more one way. So like you're not putting everybody on a chopping block after one
I
conversation.
know
That's a bit draining.
it did sound.
You're not that ruthless, okay? It's like, you out,
What
out.
have you done for me lately?
You know what I mean? That's not it.
and
But
and
it's
I'm
more like
yeah,
sort of
I'm
like a thing
saying
where you're looking at the overall friendship and saying this
absolutely,
thing is, yeah.
absolutely. I mean, you know me, you
I,
know me. I'm
I've
not
just got to be
Paris.
careful, dude, because
Not
now you're putting
today.
me on tenterhooks. And I was like, I don't know. Am I going to be drained? Am I going to drain her today? Is she going to chop me out of her life?
Yeah, no. When net, when you look at the friendship over a period of years, even
Yeah,
not
yeah,
days,
yeah.
and I feel that we're just not on the same page. We're not out to uplift each other. We're not out to love and nurture each other. Then it's fine.
And this is the thing, is I think relationships can come to an end, without there being antagonism, right? So, like, I think there are very few relationships that I've actually ended, if I'm honest. Most of the people who I've been friends with, I'm still friends with. And there are a few that I've had to make a call because actually this is not healthy, and I recognize that this dynamic is not healthy for either of us, and I have to protect myself and choose health, and being able to draw a line under that relationship. But these aren't people I wish ill for.
Hmm.
Like, if I bump into you in the street, I can still give you a hug and wish your life well,
Absolutely. Oh my goodness.
but I just don't want you coming round for coffee. Like, you carry on, I'll carry on. It's okay, you know.
The thought of having a breakup conversation with a friend just makes me giggle. Is this like I don't know what situation where I could do that. I just feel like for me as well, I just you just wean yourself away from
So,
contact
so
with them.
okay, so is that how you do it? Do you ghost
Yeah.
people basically?
I've never
Yeah, see,
no.
no. Yeah, but that's what you say. You weed, you ghost them. Eventually, they're like, she hasn't responded to my messages for a month.
No, I'll respond to messages. I
So how
don't
do you
ghost
wean?
people. How I
Okay, so how
wean.
do you wean?
So by
Yeah.
the way, that's wean with an N, not weed. But how I wean myself is literally just reducing the contact points. So if we were speaking once a month, we skip a month. Or
So you
yeah,
slowly. You see, me, I have the conversation with you, dude. I'm having a
really?
conversation. Yeah. I am having the conversation and I am saying to you, these boundaries for me are not healthy. These boundaries have been crossed, and I think it is better that we are, I love you and good luck in your life, but let's not
Oh
try
wow!
and look to each other for that sort of support and intimacy.
And there you were calling me brutal.
But I think it's honest. I'd rather someone did that to me than now I'm like this person. Once upon a time they were my friend. Now I don't know what happened.
Oh really?
I think that's more brutal. I think that I find having the conversation, at least you give each other space to say what you need to say,
Okay. But what
right?
if there's nothing? What if there's nothing truly offensive that they've done? What if it's
But
just
okay, so I think this is when I say this, I that's why I say I don't think I have really lost friends. I can count probably on one hand people I've had to have that conversation with, and
mm,
generally it's been because something very offensive has happened.
yeah, yeah.
Something, or and generally it's been something where I've had to give forewarning. It's not like one day I call you up and I say, "Dude, you're gone. It's over. It's over." It's generally been this has happened, and we've had conversations that have led to me having a point
Okay.
where I've said, "Okay."
All
I
right.
think and so I think that's it. I think that's more it.
Okay. Well, have you ever had an ending to a friendship where which was like a big argument and then you walked away? Because you always see that in the movies. You see that in storytelling. People have this big, massive blowout and then they walk away from each other and they don't talk to each other for ages and that's the end of the friendship. Because
No,
I have had
I
crisis and
don't
I've
get
had
that. I don't
conflicts,
understand that.
but
Yeah,
we've
yeah.
had the conflict and then I have then, oh, I don't want to use this millennial term, this got the ick, but there are literally
Is
people
that a
where
term? I
it's a
don't even know that's
term,
a
it's a
term.
term, my dear.
Oh
Yes.
man,
Get with the
I know.
youths.
My kid's a generation alpha, so she's going to teach me terms that
Yeah.
just give me a little bit of time.
Okay.
But get the ick. Okay, so you get the
Yeah.
ick.
So I will literally just and because I think that I generally, I'm one of those people who somebody will say something to me and then it's only 2 hours later where I'll think, hold on a minute, what did
You're
that person say
processing.
to
Yeah,
me?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
it
yeah,
takes
yeah,
me
yeah.
a long while to process. So it will take me a long time to process that this situation happened. I responded to it. We had a conflict or whatever. We talked things out. We talked things through. But then now I don't want to spend any more time with them because every time I think about them, time I think about the situation, it makes me icky. It doesn't
Yeah.
give me good vibes. So I then just kind of withdraw. And
Okay,
maybe,
so I think that's one thing. I have ever had like a big blow up things. I mean, that was
mm,
a long time ago in my life, right? You're looking
mm-hmm,
at my teenage years, and I think all the people I blew up with. Basically, your sister and I used to have some big blow ups,
really,
but we always made up. Yeah, it's like it's like sisters. You just have big
yeah,
arguments and you just know each other so well. And I think that's the thing, that the intention of my heart. So that's where my friends know. My friends know the intention
mm-hmm,
of my heart. And so if we were and I haven't had a blow up with a friend. I can honestly say I think probably in nearly 30 years,
mm,
like a blow, like an argument like that,
mm-hmm,
because for what? Why now?
mm,
It's
mm,
like no, but then it's also I think that's a personality thing. I think there's some people who do, and it works well for them. For me, it just doesn't work for me. I don't like that. If I'm going to have, I've had situations of conversations where they've been hard, like I've been confronted, and on both sides, where I've had a friend confront me and I've confronted. And those are very difficult conversations to have.
mm,
And I
mm-hmm,
think in that process, there has to be one, a willingness to have that conversation because I value this friendship so much that I'm willing to
mm-hmm,
not come to respond. If I am being confronted, to not have my defenses up, or at least if my defenses are up, to let them come down, to recognize it and come down and actually hear what the other person is saying. right?
Mhm.
And I think those are really hard conversations. So that's one thing. And if you have a valid ick about me,
Yeah.
is that used correctly?
Ish.
Am I using? Am I okay? Man, I'm trying here. Okay, but if you have a valid complaint,
Mhm.
right? I think the honorable thing for me to do as your friend is to listen to you
Mhm.
in relationship and be like, okay, and then respond to that complaint and be like, either this is valid because blah blah blah, and trust the intentions of your heart towards me and hope that that I can trust you, that you trust the intentions of my heart towards you.
Yeah.
That then I'm willing to then I think that's a healthy thing in relationship, to be able to confront some stuff and and work
Yeah.
through it.
Mhm.
If, however, you are confronting me about something and in the process using me as a punching bag, right?
Mhm.
So basically, I might have done something, and now you don't, you are not recognizing the intentions that I have towards you in our friendship. That, yeah, I messed up, I made a mistake or whatever, and now you are like, you are a terrible human being towards
Okay.
me, and
Mhm.
then I think that's where I will find it less easy to repair, because now the what you're saying is you don't view me as good anymore, right? You view me as a bad human being. And I don't want to be in relationship with someone who views me as a bad human being. I want to be in a relationship with somebody who views me as a good but flawed human being.
Mhm.
And so with that, we can look at each other's flaws and be like, yeah, I recognize your flaws. I
Yeah. Okay.
recognize them. But I love you, and I love you not in spite of your flaws. I love you with your flaws, because I recognize that that's grace and relationship, and that's how we get better and we grow and stuff like that. But if now I'm afraid that you are viewing me as some sort of horrible creature,
Yeah.
who must be on the merciful receiving end of your merciful friendship, then I don't really want to be in a relationship.
I've got a question. I've got a question for you. I've got a question for you because
Yeah.
I honestly feel like your friendship life is a lot more colorful than mine, and I'm wondering how many friends do you
It,
have?
do you, so now this is true now, and I think this is what to define friendship. So I always think of it that I have um, circles of
Yeah.
intimacy. I do have quite a lot of friends. So I have my the closest, and these are the people. So I think of this as the people who, if I am in need of physical care,
Yeah.
could come into my house,
Mm.
and I'm able to easily be vulnerable in that situation, because I think that's a real. I think I have a circle that's that, and those are my sisters, all right. And when I say sisters, I include the people I attached to, that that I mean. So there's a level of knowing and intimacy in that inner circle, which for me, I kind of consider that my sisters. For me, those are my sisters. And I think that's what it's so. It's for my daughter. She sees those relationships, and she knows them. They're her. She can't separate me from those relationships.
Mhm.
Like, those relationships and her mother are so interconnected. Um, and so that's one of, and I've been exceptionally fortunate. I think in my life, I've been exceptionally fortunate to have that. Um, where I do have my actual, biological siblings who are very, very close, and then I do have this connect with that is, as equally close to me, and I hold in value. So I have got that, and then I have the next circle, and these are all people who are I've probably gotten to know older,
Mhm.
and they are, again, people who who know me so well that I'm really happy for them to come into the mess of my life, and I'm really happy for them to call me up on stuff, and they know me well enough for me. I always think these are people who, if they're talking about me behind my back, I can trust what they're saying.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't have an issue if they're talking about me with each other, because ultimately they want what's best for me. So
Yeah.
talk about me. Feel free, talk about me, and then feed back to me. Because I'm going to be an irritating person at some point, and you're going to have somebody to gripe to about me, and I trust you to gripe to each other. So I'm very fortunate. So I have that circle, and I have that circle I can call up, and I laugh, and friends that I pray with, friends that I tell my dreams to, friends that I tell my vulnerability to, and I do have that circle. And then I've got the circle that might be a bit further out, who I want to go and have a barbecue with, but they don't. I'm not calling up when I've got pain,
Mm.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
But so I've got to be honest. I don't actually know how many friends I have. I
Yeah.
have a lot
Okay.
of friends.
I
I actually do have a lot of friends,
I get the
but they
sense.
are
Yeah.
in different. Yeah,
Yeah.
but they're in different things. And I would say, I definitely have more than 15 people in my life who I
Yeah.
consider real friends.
Yeah. Oh, hello to Sherlock. It's been a while since he's
It's been a while. There's
an
someone at the
appearance.
there's someone at the door. I'm just gonna pop and check who that is.
Okay.
So carry on.
All
So
right.
let me stop him barking. So yeah. So I mean that's and I think I'm not. Yeah, I've been very fortunate. And then I have like friendship groups, but I also
Yeah.
have those sporadic friends who are just they're singular. There's
Yeah.
that friend there
Uh huh.
and that friend there.
Yeah.
you know, um, my absolute dream, and it has been for as long as I can remember, is to actually one day have all of them in one place. Like that would just be mind blowing to me. I can sit with a list and be like, all of these people.
Okay.
You
Yeah,
know,
I can relate because I asked, it was a provocative question because I do know that you have a lot of friends. I think that most of I'm blessed to have sisters
yeah.
and a brother, and we are extremely close, and they are the ones who would be in who I would say inner circle, and very few people then make that inner circle, you being
Mm.
one of them.
Bloody well better say
I
me
know.
after
I
I've said
thought
all of that. Can you imagine if you
you're in
turned around
you're
and
in the
said,
third
"Yeah, but
you're in the third
dude, you're on
circle.
the third, you're on the third rung for me. I don't know, I don't know." You're kind of like, mm-mm. Didn't make the cut.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think there's a one day we should talk about these personality types because I remember doing this Enneagram, which is a very, very
Yeah,
interesting thing
yeah,
about personality types. And they talk about how my particular personality type, if you were at my funeral and you asked different friends to come and talk about me, you'd think that you're attending the
you're a different
funeral of a
person.
different person, each person. And it doesn't mean
Really.
that this Enneagram person is false or
Yeah,
two
yeah, yeah.
faced or anything like that. It is that they are so good at showing a facet of themselves that is most
See, that's so
compatible
interesting.
with
That,
uh-huh whoever they're interacting with. That's me. So if you
but
brought
you see, I want to know. I want to know with that if that has something to do, like as you're getting older and more um, at peace with yourself, if that happens less and less.
if the diversity of my friendships,
Not the diversity of your friendships, but the way you present to different people
um
is more consistent.
it is more consistent, but there is still, I mean, there are friends that I've made in South Africa since moving here 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And if I brought these friends together, I mean, I wouldn't want to because they're so different.
See, this is,
They're
but
so
that's also
different.
a really interesting thing because I have that thing because I've had that conversation with my husband of saying, but yeah, but if you brought all of them together because they're so different, and I'm like, but that would be the fun for me is to watch all these different types of people who have absolutely nothing in common
Yeah,
sort of meet and see where they go.
I guess that in answer to your question, I suppose I do present. Okay, maybe if I'm honest, I am more rooted in, let's say, I am more open and I am not afraid to show people my values and my beliefs and
Right.
all of those things. But I still am able to appeal to or attract or be attracted to different people across a wide spectrum.
Yeah, but
You
that's
know,
wonderful, isn't that? Isn't that like a
it is. It's
Isn't that?
great.
I think that's great because you just
Yeah,
have a richer landscape
yeah,
of people that you influence and who influence you,
Yeah,
and I think that's really
it
wonderful. It's just,
is. It is. I love it. I love it because I got to a point where I thought, well, I'm too old to make new friends now. It's just too
yeah,
late.
yeah, yeah.
It's just too late. But
How old were you when you thought
I was
that?
in my 40s when I thought that
Right.
ship has sailed. Um, Everyone is already paired up with their own friends.
All
Woe,
by
woe is
myself.
me.
Woe is me. Nobody wants me. I'm by myself.
How can I count friends on one hand of my after 25 years in the United Kingdom? How can I count my friends on one hand? How crazy
But
is
isn't
that?
that okay? So here's the thing. So I was watching this Michelle Obama interview, Oprah interviewing Michelle Obama on the light we carry, and I love, Auntie Oprah and
Mhm.
Auntie Michelle. I
Mhm.
mean, come on now, the
Mhm.
combination, right? But they have this thing where, because Oprah's always on about she has her one friend.
Mm.
That is her friend. Gail is her friend. That's her only friend.
Mhm.
And then and Michelle Obama's talking about she has this group of like 12 friends that she,
Mm.
and how she has, made
Yes.
friends over time. And I think that is a personality thing. I think it's the idea that
Uh-huh.
some people don't need or don't
Mm.
want or don't whatever, and that is enough. It is enough to be able to have on one hand the people you consider your friends. You can have lots of acquaintances, and then the other people, and I think I'm more of that kind of. I love having more friends.
Yeah.
I really do. I love that feeling. I think sometimes I might feel, because I do there might be a few people who feel closer to me than I feel to them sometimes,
Okay.
because people tell me, you know what I mean, like because I genuinely love, and I will tell you my stuff very quickly. I
That's the
don't feel.
thing. That is the thing.
You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Not me, my friend. Not me. It's gonna take
Yeah,
you
closed,
5 years.
closed.
5 years to break into my heart, man. And
And the patience,
oh,
and you could hit 4 years and 11 months, make a mistake, and you're
you're
out.
out. What are you bringing? What value do you bring to this relationship?
It's vibes. These vibes aren't working with me.
Yeah, absolutely. I am so closed
Yeah,
about I'm just not comfortable. I'm just not comfortable sharing,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and I will deflect and joke. So I'll share stuff,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah,
it's kind of in a jokey. I remember somebody sort of, and I regret having this. It's one of those conversations I play over and over in my head, where we're trying to build a friendship group. We've artificially created quite successfully a friendship group of new people to the town that I'm living in. It's fantastic.
right.
So one of the people turns to me and looks me in the eye and says, "Where do you worship?" And I'm thinking, "Oh, we've only just met. I am not about to start sharing with you
Unpacking this one
my
with you.
spiritual journey and my thoughts and my spiritual experience and my thoughts on religion. And I deflected it so clumsily,
Right.
without realizing this person was really, really serious, and she's very religious, and it just didn't land very well at all. And I remember, I remember when we were parting company, she pointedly did not say, "I hope to see you again" to me, and she said it to the person next to me.
That's brilliant. She doesn't want to see you again. You got to
No.
find out where she worships and pitch up there. And be like, hey, I'm
Oh.
church hopping. I'm just church hopping.
Oh my goodness. And I and I and
That's
I had
hilarious.
to unpack that, and I was asking myself, why did I make a joke out of it? Because it's, for me, it's not funny, it's not light, it's not a joke. But the only way I could kind of deflect what she was saying and not go into the depth of my soul was to make a joke out of it. So that's me.
Right,
That's me
right.
as a friend.
So yeah, yeah, yeah. So, but that kind of, I mean, on both sides, I think it's fair enough to be able to say, I don't feel ready to answer these
Yeah.
questions with you.
Mm.
But then I think I'm the opposite. I'm the woman who asks you where you worship, and I try and get to that. I want to know. So by the time you leave that conversation, you could feel like this person has just completely violated my space, you know? And so I think there is something of, of I have to learn respect around that, of saying some people don't want to be that vulnerable so quickly, just respect that space, and don't take offense if they don't answer your question. It's like, you have the right not to have me up in your business. You don't know me. Just because I'm like, yeah, you can ask me anything. Feel free, I'll tell you anything. Doesn't mean you want to do that. And I think that's also the other thing about friendship that's really important about relationship, is just learning to respect other people's,
absolutely,
how they are, and not hold it against them and be like, there's something wrong with that person because they didn't answer their most vulnerable. They didn't tell me.
As a person who has had to switch it up and learn to meet people halfway, I know that your relationship and mine, I feel it improved when I was more intentional about my friendship. So I am definitely more intentional right now. I see people more. I talk to people more when I'm paying attention. Sometimes I lapse, but I am trying to be, in practice, a better friend. Even though I really am, I still love you and all these things. But I need to outwardly show and be in relationship with you and all of those things. But I just feel also that with time, I think with the whole selection process, we end up with better quality. We should anyway, in theory, as old as we are, as big as we are, we should we should be. I think we have a right and we deserve to surround ourselves with people who make us feel better. And
so, on that note, we should try and see each other more often in the flesh.
We should. As much as we talk to each other, we still had way too little time to spend. And
right.
time flew by, and we still had more stories to tell each other. So,
man. But that was the other thing. So on that note, talking about that and how I, seeing, because, you haven't seen me, but you also haven't seen my daughter, who's your goddaughter, for 5 years. And in her life, that's a long time, not seeing someone for 5 years.
Absolutely.
Quite a long time.
Absolutely.
But what gets me, and we're talking about that thing of friendship, of how immediately, because, you talk to me and she sees you and hello and, talks to you briefly every now and then, but not with that same consistency. And yet to see her walk into your house, make herself way too at home, like went up to your room. I don't know what she was looking for. We're just sitting there watching her go into your bedroom, like absolutely knew that she belonged there. Right. And that for me is a testimony of what friendship's like, even with distance. It's like the next generation feels so at peace with this dynamic.
Special thanks to Ayozie Polodine for our artwork and Crack the Window for our theme music. This episode was edited by Marcus Root. Our website is soulfullypodcast.com. Check it out for show notes and links. Please subscribe to our podcast on most podcast platforms and watch us on YouTube. Thank you for listening, and until next time, we're soulfully yours.